Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host, Khalid. But today is Monday, the 26th of May, 2025. These are the stories that we will be deciphering, highlighting during the course of the show. We'll begin with the four-nation visit of our Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif along with his entourage. You were just watching the press stakeout between Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian. We'll begin with what our Prime Minister had to say. He said it was a very productive and useful meeting, and he was, of course, referring to his meeting with the Iranian President. He said, we talked about agreements on enhancing collaboration in commerce and trade relations. He said that that the role of Iran is deep-rooted, of course, with Pakistan, there are deep-rooted cultural and historical ties, and what he wants to do is transform them in proactive cooperation in various fields. He thanked the Iranian President for, of course, calling him and sharing his concern on the evolving situation in the subcontinent. Of course, he was referring to the tensions with India. He said there was an ardent desire for this crisis to come to a grinding halt from his side. He also said that he welcomed brother Abbas Arakchi, and he said we had a heart-to-heart discussion with him. He said Pakistan came out victorious through its brave actions in its tensions with India because of the outstanding support of the armed forces and the people of Pakistan. He said we wanted and we want peace and will work for peace in the region and resolve our outstanding issues, including that of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, as per the United Nations Security Council resolutions and the Indian Lok Sabha the Lok Sabha decision that was taken in 1954 by Mr. Nehru. To discuss the various aspects of this press takeout between the two sides, we have been joined by two guests, one online and one in the studios. Online, we've been joined by Dr. Jamil Khan Saab, who's a former ambassador, and in the studios, we've been joined by Dr. Gul-i-Ayesha Bhatti, who's a foreign affairs analyst. Thank you very much to both of my guests. I'll begin with you, Jamil Khan Saab. Jamil Khan Saab, you must have now just seen this joint press takeout between Iran and Pakistan. So many commonalities on different important views, but a desire to enhance collaboration, cooperation in various sectors. How do you see this?
No, in fact, if we look at it from the geopolitical standpoint of this is really more important than, I would say, previous visits. From the standpoint that Pakistan has fully supported which we've been supporting already, but supporting it from the soil of Iran, it gives a different signal. And that is the Palestinian atrocities. Both of them have done that. And Pakistan has fully supported about the nuclear program, the peaceful nuclear program. So that is another one. And then, of course, we have our Prime Minister had mentioned about the historical relations, which is true with Iran, and also he has, during his deliberations there in Iran, Prime Minister has mentioned that Pakistan wants peace, although Pakistan was victorious during this 4 days war with India, but we don't want any aggression. We don't want any skirmishes or battle. We would like to have dialogue. We would like to have talk with India. We would like to have trade with India. But if there is any aggression from the Indian side, then in that case, we'll have to respond. And then also he has mentioned about the fact that the collaboration and cooperation should further transform into a tangible mutual benefits, this historical relations which they have. He mentioned about Kashmir by citing, as you were also mentioning in your intro, that he mentioned about the Security Council resolution and the Lok Sabha 1952 and then Nehru's plebiscite program. And he says that we are absolutely ready to talk about it. And we want to really have the dialogue. So that really, in fact, is a signal to the world that Pakistan was not involved in any kind of aggression. Pakistan still wants to have talks, but with that honor and respect that if there is any aggression, then Pakistan reserves the right of defense. That's what he said. And at the same time, it was reciprocated by the president of Iran, And he has also mentioned that we already have agreements, and we would implement that. And we do have the religious ties, we do have brotherly ties. He did mention about Gaza and about Palestine. And then he also mentioned that the criminal creating any problem on both sides of the border, both sides of the boundary line, should also be dealt with properly. So these were the common points. The very fact that Prime Minister was there and was resonating the policy, foreign policy from the soil of Iran under these circumstances, once Israel is all set and has been warning and has been pursuing an attack on Iran, and once the negotiation with P5+1, particularly United States, is now in progress about the nuclear program. And the contention is that Iran should totally dismantle this, all kind of nuclear program and projects, whereas the Prime Minister of Pakistan, and very much within the ambit of the international laws, says that yes, we support the peaceful nuclear program of Iran, whereas the Israelis and even Americans are inclined to really totally dismantle that no enrichment, rather zero enrichment policy. So this shows that Pakistan, and then more important, the most important thing is that Iran and Pakistan both are under the geopolitical umbrella of China and the Russians relations. So we can imagine the kind of relations which we have with China, and the $400 billion agreement and the relations with Iran has with China. So what implication and what significance does it have in the overall regional and the global geopolitical landscape? So from that standpoint, I was mentioning that this is indeed a very, very significant visit of the Prime Minister. But the main idea of the Prime Minister was to is conveyed to the world, and more importantly, the neighboring and the friendly countries, that Pakistan, its viewpoint and the way Indians are now carrying out the propaganda about the terrorism, about the involvement of terrorism of Pakistan. So to negate that, like our other delegations is also doing the same thing. So the basic purpose was to thank these countries for the support to Pakistan, because Iran had really done its role, and played its role so far as the mediation is concerned. And Iran did mediate, try to bring peace with India and Pakistan. So that was an effort where the foreign minister of Iran had visited Pakistan, as well as he went to India. So that what they call in Arabic tashakkur was also important for the Persian tashakkur. So that was also important, and the prime minister's that purpose was also solved. So far as Tehran is concerned, its engagement with 3+3 regional cooperation with Russia, Turkey, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. So that is also significant. And under this backdrop, the Prime Minister's visit to Azerbaijan and Turkey, which has already taken place, in that backdrop, this again becomes quite a significant kind of visit. And Iran do have a leverage, cultural leverage, linguistic leverage with Tajikistan, and Prime Minister is also going to
Yes.
Tajikistan and towards the end of his visit. So I think if we, yes.
Uh, Yes, all right. Mazrazab, stay online with us. We've also gotten Dr. Gul-i-Ayesha Bhatti in the studios with us. Dr. Ayesha Bhatti, I'd like to quote our Prime Minister while he was giving that joint press takeout with the Iranian president. He said he was ready to talk with India for the sake of peace on the water issue. He was ready to talk with India to promote trade, and he was ready to talk to India on counter-terrorism if they are serious, quote unquote. But if they continue to be aggressive, we will defend our country. But if they accept, then they will see how we want peace seriously. How important is that comment, not only for Iran, but also for the world and for India. Will India reciprocate?
Well, if we look into this whole visit of Prime Minister, first Turkey and then now here in Iran, so it's a highly symbolic visit, and we can say that sometimes, you know, diplomacy always comes with the timing. So this whole event is a very timely event, and it is showing a symbolic and a very significant message to India specifically. Once we know that India cannot afford a kinetic war now because of the humiliation and because of the setback economic and militarily they faced, now they are going toward a non-kinetic warfare. That is the propaganda, that is about the narrative making and all
that.
The
proxies, through its proxies in Balochistan
and they recently they made that 7 committees on it, and they are traveling around the world and making the narrative based on the India's perception. So this was a highly timely visit and very calculated visit. Here Prime Minister is talking about you know, the peace and stability, and how Pakistan is always accepting and adopting the policy of restraint. And so this message is for the India, for the whole world, to show the what real Pakistan wants. So this is important in this regard. And the other aspect is, this is about the gratitude diplomacy as well. The way we had good friends on our side during the all tough times, specifically since the 2 months, Turkey and then Azerbaijan and Iran, and especially Iran's policy of that shuttle diplomacy, and they were ready to mediate, and they were very much mature about it, you know, how they were handling the whole situation at India as well as in Pakistan, and trying to mediate the process. So this was a very responsible behavior from as a strong regional player. And yes, Pakistan's position is very strong, but we are working on our narrative building. This is important because I don't see an Operation Sindhu 2 in a kinetic way.
But India says that the operation is paused, it's not, it hasn't ended. This is what the Indian perspective is.
But you know, technically they cannot do it. You know, even if they want more embarrassment, that's perfectly okay. But otherwise, they are going towards the non-kinetic way. That is the propaganda and what they are doing. Have you seen that how the Balochis insurgencies at Balochistan has been so much increased since the past 1 week, especially?
Even before that, at the same time that they were attacking Pakistan, at the same time they were, as the DGISP had mentioned, so many different operations going on within Balochistan. They were stopped. Most, all of them were stopped. But you know, there was an increase, a radical increase in the number of such operations.
So you know, we often say that you know, the nations are built under the crisis. So Pakistan as a nation came out of this crisis a very victorious, strong and full of solidarity. On the other hand, the humiliation is on the part of India, and how distorted and destructed they are. Even they are not ready to have those alliances which they were relying upon, and now they have found the 7 members, 7 committees actually, and that committee is being led by the Congress men. Can you imagine that how strong they are trying to be in a political arena as well? And Sashi Tharoor is leading that committees, and they are going around the world. Even those insignificant states they are traveling, their opinion doesn't matter on the international arena, yet they are going over there and trying to convey India's message, because right now nobody is going to buy India's narrative. Nobody is ready
has
to
bought
accept
India's narrative.
Yes.
Since it began all its pom-pomming through its media and through its statements, because it is based on falsehood.
It
you know,
is
from
indeed.
the false flag operation Pahalgam onwards, it is all based on very hollow and false grounds.
It is indeed. And can you imagine who was talking about Pakistan's diplomatic isolation, and here you are, you know, India is all alone, and nobody is going to, you know, we haven't seen any state standing openly along with the India on its narrative. They were all saying about, okay, let's have a resolution, let's have a restraint, let's have a peaceful mediation. So here you know, Prime Minister is going to, is there to acknowledge, and as a, you know, the friendly relation, friendly behavior came from the Turkey, and then from the Iran, it's the shuttle diplomacy, and then Azerbaijan, most importantly, the way they provided their political, their economical, and their strategic support to the Pakistanis. And yes, there is another thing, Pakistan is trying to promote the solidarity as well, because you know that how Indians are aggressively cancelling all the contracts with the Turkish firms.
Yes.
So this is really, I mean, how much desperate they are.
But
so
they are desperate because
yes,
they have failed. You know, they have failed on almost all the levels, if not all levels. Ambassador Jamil Khan, coming to you. I'll quote the President of Iran, Mr. Masood Pezeshkian, and then I'll ask you the question. He says we need to promote cooperation at the border areas. He says Iran believes in the stability, welfare, and the peace of Pakistani people. That is in Iran's interest. How does the visit of our Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif aim to rebuild trust and strengthen security cooperation between the two countries? Putting this statement in context.
I know under these critical circumstances, which we are mentioning about the regional situation, of course, it's very significant. And Pakistan and Iran has already been conducting joint patrolling and a joint strategy about the criminals crossing the border and even terrorists crossing the border both sides. So the little misunderstanding and the episode which had taken place on both sides, once that was immediately addressed by Iran and Pakistan. And now these are the reiteration of the same thing, that the brotherly relation continues with it. And then as the president of Iran has mentioned, that they want to see stability in Pakistan. They want to have trade and commerce and brotherly relations with Pakistan. So that is just a reiteration of the previous meetings once we had. The Prime Minister had just gone to further reaffirm the resolve of Pakistan, that Pakistan do give importance to Iran. And as I said, that Iran's direct and a very strong relation with China, Pakistan's direct and very strong relation with China, that makes the matter more important and more significant. But then we also understand that the relations of Iran with India is not as strong, and it is receding because that Iran is now having more interest and more collaboration and more agreements signed with China and Russia both. So the aims and objective with India had through Chabahar and the railway track which India had invested in, and Chabahar, what the India had invested in, and the road what India had invested in to link Chabahar with Afghanistan, that would also, that it appears, would not be having the same momentum because of the changing environment of the geopolitical situation. Iran definitely is a very structured company, country, and a very resilient country. And because of which Iran today, if it is having some difficulties because of the sanctions and because of the fact that Israel is really after one thing, and that they want to really have, they want to somehow find an opportunity to totally neutralize the enrichment facilities, and they have been very vehemently been spelling it out. It's the United States that they find that it's not in their interest that Iran should, because Iran has made its very clear instance that in case it happens, then Iran would really address that aggressive posture. And even if there's airspace used of any country, that country would also be then taken care of. So from that angle, I think a visit of the Prime Minister in these circumstances, where on one side, Iran has a tension with the West, particularly the Israel, and then as an auxiliary tension is with the United States. Also, under those circumstances, visit of Pakistan, having China's relation with Iran, Russia's relations with Iran, Pakistan relations with China, it really speaks volume as to what changes are going to take place at the geopolitical landscape in this region and the SCO countries. Yes.
All right, Dr. Saiba, coming to you. Let's talk a little bit about Palestine and what leaders had to say on the issue. Our Prime Minister says we condemn, and I'm quoting both of them. He said we condemn the atrocities in Gaza. More than 50,000 people have been martyred. The bloodbath continues, he said. He said the international community needs to bring lasting ceasefire or else posterity will not forgive us, quote unquote. The Iranian president says that during their talks, issues of the Islamic world were discussed. Palestine was also discussed. And he said Pakistan and Iran, both being part of the Organization of Islamic Countries, condemn the atrocities that are being committed by Israel and the support that they are getting by Western countries. There is a commonality of views as far as Palestine is concerned. Now, the Iranian president mentions OIC. Can Iran and Pakistan, with the help of other Muslim countries, strengthen the OIC so that it can be more proactive in countering such issues such as Palestine?
Well, Omar, I think this is a very timely issue, and it should be handled like that on the international level under the United Nations umbrella, and then under the OIC as well. While the international arena says that it's such a humanitarian catastrophe and it is said as a genocide, and yet instead of resolving the issues on the basis of all the resolutions that has been passed, specifically this resolution 2735 that is related to the immediate ceasefire and has been violated by the Israel, it should be it should be countered, it should be blamed to Israel as well, but that blame is, that kind of accountability is nowhere. Right now there is a Madrid conference going on in the Spain, and
yes.
We have seen that
with so many countries
yes,
there.
so many countries from the Arabs and from the Europe, they are there. Why? Because now they are, and that's a very, I think it's a very encouraging position right now, because from the, once they saw that resolution are not working down, now they are coming towards some kind of practical solution. And on that step, they are going to come up with something concrete, something peaceful for a lasting peace and stability of the people of the Gaza. We have seen that how they have completely destroyed the whole Gaza. It's completely unlivable, and they are, they are dragging them to the southern side of the Gaza, eventually sending them to some third state. That is ultimately the agenda of the Trump government. So it should be addressed in OIC as well, but let's see where it goes. But right now it's a hot issue, and everybody wants the solution now. We have seen that even in the French president, he's so much vocal about it.
Yes.
And we have seen the Spain, and we have seen the Canada and Ireland. They are talking about it because it's such an inhuman act that even in the Western power are tired of it. So yes, I think the solution is coming, and hopefully it's going to be a better solution for the people of Palestine. Although the Netanyahu says that it's an all-out war, and obviously this is a war of attrition in which he wants the whole Gaza. That's Hamas is just a kind of I would say it's something he's relying upon just to get all what he wants. But eventually, let's hope that some fruitful thing come out of it. And as far as the Trump's concerned, we have seen that Trump was on a very serious visit on the whole Middle East, but he didn't go to Israel. And that was some kind of signaling to the Israel, because Trump has time and again asked the Israel for the ceasefire somehow, and
but
not
there needs to be
it.
a more proactive approach
Yes.
from the world, including the Western countries, as far as these atrocities are concerned. How can Pakistan and Iran collaborate to transform regional connectivity into a win-win scenario, countering external narratives of competition? And this is putting into context what the president of Iran had said, as far as sustainable security and friendly relations with its neighbors is a commonality of both Iran and Pakistan.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are so many things on which they can work upon, and one of them is the terrorism. I mean, they can work on it under the SCO as well. They are both of them are the member of the SCO. And then the regional connectivity and regional trade and infrastructure can only be possible once there is a peace. So peace only comes when there is somehow a strong commitment to the counter-terrorism. So yes, they are on the same page to work against the counter-terrorism. Even the Afghanistan is on the same page now, and with the help of the founding members of SCO, that Russia and China, it is possible. And the second thing is that time and again we have seen that from the Iranian side, they are always saying that the previous MOUs and previous agreements should be taken care of. So I think this is the right time that we should work on it, because it's eventually for our own benefit as well.
Exactly, and it's for the benefit of the region that countries of the region work together and try to promote connectivity instead of what India had done and has been doing so far. I hope better sense prevails. Thank you very much, Dr. Gul-i-Ayesha Bhatti, to have joined us. I'll just end with this statement by the Iranian president. He said he welcomed and thanked Shehbaz Sharif Saab and his team for visiting Iran, and hoped that the outcome of our bilateral meetings would be useful and will serve the benefits of both countries. Looking forward to that. Omar, Khalid bids you farewell from this episode of Newsroom. We'll see you inshallah tomorrow with news stories and segments that pertain to US, us and Pakistan. Allah Hafiz.